how would you explain to people outside the U.S., including our Thai audience, that how such an advanced and prosperous country like the U.S. with the huge science resources and world's the only superpower could have come to be in this dire situation, now being described as the epicenter of this deadly virus?
I think we first have to at the huge system of the United States under. Remember that the United States is a very decentralized system of government. Each state, in fact, has its own government. Each state has its own elected officials. A governor of a state can be compared to a president of a state. Each state has its own lower and upper house, which are a mirror of the central government in Washington, but there's a great level of autonomy. With this great level of autonomy, there is also a lack of central direction and administration, which is both a blessing and can be a curse. We are seeing a bad hour for this system of government, and that there is no central planning organization other than the health organizations. In terms of administration, each state is left up to its own, and President Trump has made it very clear that the governors of each state will make their own decisions.
I see. So this time around, Geoffrey, is it a curse or is it a blessing, the system that you're talking about?
No, this is the curse time. This is the curse to have no central planning that comes from the center and affects each area. Local officials, especially in the body of governors and mayors in some cases, are allowed to make their own autonomous decisions. We'll see, especially the governor of New York, who has become very proactive. Governor Cuomo has tried to forge a working relationship with the White House, but this has been very slow and very tedious for him, as we've seen the case of other governors also. Some have called for total shutdown, some have called for partial shutdown, and some have called for none at all.
Yes. And Kun Geoffrey, how does this coronavirus outbreak affect you personally?
Well, I'm sitting in my house in Bangkok 14 days now, so it doesn't affect me so much. I have a lot to read, and my major entertainment is planning my lunch menu, so that's okay. But personally, I lost a dear friend who was the first Thai in the United States to succumb to the virus. I took Kun Pai Lin to the United States in 1997, where she had lived. She worked in a Thai restaurant and become an American citizen, was so proud, and 3 weeks ago we lost her. So this was a tragic personal loss for me.
So my condolence to you, Geoffrey, and the families of your friends. What is interesting is that every time we read about the coronavirus in the U.S., it's always about Trump venting his fury on the media and pointing fingers at other parties. China, of course, the first thing that he pointed finger at, and then the World Health Organization that became involved in a war of words with its Director General. So what is he up to? I mean, seen from outside, why do you think he's acting this way?
Well, I think he's been working the same way. He's acting the same way which he has since he was elected in 2016. This is his style. He is able to bring the center of attention toward himself through this sort of dialogue and antipathy with the press, and his supporters seem to go along with this. They seem to be convinced that the media are something to be feared and loathed probably as well. So this is an ongoing continuation of his political strategy to gain people's attention. But I'll be quite honest with you. screaming, yelling at CNN or other media outlets or state governors or politicians in the United States that he doesn't like is one thing. But the WHO brouhaha really caught my attention. I was really quite taken aback by that.
And Geoffrey, how do you think the way he handles the situation will have an effect on his prospects of being re-elected?
This is the most interesting question. It's too early. The numbers seem to have gone against him a little bit, but I promise you, his perennial support base is still there. But remember, there are tens of millions, not just millions, of swing voters in the United States who make their mind up very close to election time. They're not affiliated with either party. They make their decision for many personal reasons and their own personal observations. So we're still way out in terms of the November election as to what will happen. But certainly the way he handles the situation and also the number of fatalities in the next number of months will determine a lot.
Okay.
And the situation of the Democrat Party, which is not quite strong at this very moment, might have been helping President Trump quite a lot?
Well, the Democrat Party seems to have a forerunner for their candidate this year, later in November, which seems to be Joe Biden. Joe Biden has been very quiet so far. My guess is their strategy is for the president to take the situation and run and hopefully become more unpopular before the election. But I think, as perhaps in the case of Thailand, most people put politics to the side for the moment. Therefore, I think that the more prudent politicians are saying very little at this time. Remember what the President of the United States is. He is the sole head of one of the three branches of government. This is an American system. It is not the Westminster parliamentary system like England and Thailand have. He has sole control of the executive. Therefore, they are allowing him to use his prerogative as commander-in-chief to show his capabilities at this time, whether they be positive or negative.
And overall, how do you think this will affect the U.S. as the leader or superpower at the world stage? How does it affect the U.S.?
Well, I think the numbers speak for themselves. I think the fact that this very rich country, as earlier, supposedly the primary superpower, the entire world has looked to in times of crisis, is not performing very well. Therefore, I think many people are looking in different directions for leadership right now. And certainly the question of the hour is China.